Her husband's company was bleeding money. Landing one fat contract was the only way to stem the tide. I quietly invited the client boss out for drinks, planning to do Preston one last favor. To me, it would only take a single sentence, but I never expected to walk into the same private room at the Meridian, Los Angeles, and see my husband draped over his assistant, hands and eyes everywhere. I confronted him. He sneered, "The company is hanging by a thread. Linda's father has the connections I need. This is work. You live off my money, drink my wine, can't lift a finger except to shop. Who are you to question me? Get lost." I stared at the lipstick smudge on his shirt collar, cold inside, turned away, killed the deal, and filed for divorce. Preston panicked, begged on his knees, "Before we go on, subscribe to the channel and tell us where you're tuning in from." Inside the Meridian private room, I locked the Sunwave contract for Preston with 2 sentences. The Sunwave directors fawned, "Since you've spoken, Chairwoman, we'll courier the papers tomorrow." I rose to leave, offered my hand with a smile, "Then I'll leave the trouble to you." "No trouble at all. No trouble at all." I stepped into the corridor and exhaled. I loathe small talk, but Preston could refinance the company with this deal. It would hold. I rolled my stiff neck and headed for the exit. Lifted my eyes and saw Preston stumbling in, arm hooked around his assistant, tie askew, jacket wrinkled. The snowy collar of his shirt bore a fresh crimson smudge. His knees buckled. He leaned his weight on her. "Ms. Vance, what are you doing here?" the girl shrieked. I lifted a brow, gaze flicking to Preston draped over her. "My surname is Vance. Are you a leftover from the Qing dynasty?" She dropped her eyes. "Sorry, Ms. Vance." "Serena, what's with the attitude? Linda is my senior assistant. Watch your tone. Think you're still some spoiled socialite? You married me. Calling you Ms. Vance is correct. Who are you posturing for?" A soft laugh escaped me. Every second I just spent inside had been wasted. Drunk before noon, we finally lined up Sunwave's project manager. Linda showed sincerity by drinking a few extra glasses. Linda answered, the picture of professionalism, reminding me how hard Preston had worked. I ignored her and turned to Preston. "If you already met the manager, why come here?" The manager hinted no. "Linda's dad pulled strings. Sunwave's chairman is entertaining here. So we thought." Preston cut her off. "She doesn't need the details." He swayed forward, planting himself between us, shielding Linda. The gesture turned my stomach. His fingers were still clamped around her wrist. I looked up in time to catch the flush on Linda's cheeks and the bedroom eyes she shot him. Drunk or acting, Preston jabbed a finger at my nose. "You dare ambush me." Linda begged her father for intel. She's bled for this project. She drank shots for me, almost groped by that bastard client. "I'm killing myself here. What have you ever done? A housewife lecturing me?" By now Linda's eyes were red-rimmed. Perfect supporting actress. Preston clenched his jaw, veins bulging. "Sick of you planting trackers in my phone. Serena, get out." He roared across the lobby. I watched the tantrum, about to slap sense into him. Just then the Sunwave directors descended the stairs. They spotted me, rushed over, tripping over themselves to confirm the deal. I gave a short laugh and glanced at Preston. Forget it. He's no longer qualified. They froze, read my face, and beat a hasty retreat. Linda cooed, "Syrupy, Ms. Vance. As a full-time wife, are all your friends retirees?" Preston opened his mouth to snarl, but I doused him with 2 sentences. "Your father sent you without the briefing?" Those were Sunwave's board directors. Linda blinked, gears spinning. She spun to chase them. "Sorry, Ms. Vance, let me bring them back." Preston yanked her back. "Leave it, Serena. Stop the scare tactics. A bunch of old men?" Sunwave was started by college kids. Why would the board be geriatrics? He rolled his eyes. "You're just jealous of Linda. Mid-30s lying to scare a kid? Pathetic. I told you, no matter how big my business grows, I won't abandon you. Yet you keep spying like a bitter wife." Watching him pet her without thinking, I laughed at myself. From the instant every share was transferred into his name, Preston had become someone else. 2 years. 4 assistants, each escorted to clubs and hotels. Same excuse every time, purely professional. All my paranoia. Now I couldn't even be bothered to collect evidence. I rubbed my tired brow. "Then go in, see Sunwave's chairman." I stepped past him toward the door. He cracked, lunged and blocked me. "I didn't dismiss you. Apologize to Linda." I drew a slow breath. "Preston, don't play drunk thug with me." Linda darted over, clutching his arm. "Ms. Vance, I'm fine. Don't fight over me. She's just insecure because she loves you. I understand." I actually laughed, Preston's big alpha act was bad enough without this fox spirit adding lines. I'd had my fill of ridiculous. My hand flashed up. Linda shrieked. Eyes squeezed shut. I snorted and dropped my arm. No slap landed. She peeked. Gave a sheepish giggle. Preston barked. Serena, done clowning? Even if you're jealous, you crossed the line. Apologize or I'll never forgive you. I curled my lip. Contempt dripping. I don't need your forgiveness. In fact, Preston, I won't apologize. I'm divorcing you. Quick cut. Clean knot. The company is already his. He once saved my father's life. Consider the debt repaid. As for the so-called love I used to believe in, anyone looks poetic under cherry blossoms. The Preston standing in front of me no longer deserves mine. Preston panicked. He clearly hadn't expected me to ask for a divorce over something so small. After all, he'd done far worse over the last 2 years. But every time I'd let it slide for the sake of the love we once had. Only when the divorce papers landed on his desk did he realize I wasn't bluffing. It's always the same with him. Testing my limits like some obedience experiment. Then comes the tearful apology. Then the story about how he once pulled my father from beneath the wheels of a car. The reminder he whips out whenever he needs leverage. This time was no different. It happened to be Memorial Day, and I just visited my father's grave at Hillside Cemetery, Los Angeles. As I left, 2 of Preston's employees intercepted me. They said Preston had something urgent to discuss and asked me to come along. I assumed he finally wanted to talk about the divorce. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine he'd rented an entire gallery in downtown LA and mounted a memorial exhibit of my father's unfinished works. The banner declared it a tribute to the father-in-law he'd loved like his own dad. I stared at the blown-up photograph of my father. Fury surged through me, white hot. I clenched my fists so hard my nails drew blood in my palms. Serena, come inside, Preston called. Impeccable in his tailored suit, grinning ear to ear. I slapped his outstretched hand away. What the hell is this? Preston? I cursed myself for never changing the safe combination. It gave him the opening to pull this stunt. He flashed an innocent smile. I just miss Dad. I wanted to honor him somehow. Linda had the perfect idea, an exhibit so everyone can remember him. Several pieces have already sold for high prices. They say a person truly dies only when they're forgotten. I won't let Dad be forgotten. He leaned close, voice low. I was wrong, babe. I drank too much that night. Don't hold it against me. I'm not letting you divorce me. I swallowed the rage. Past him, inside the gallery, Linda was directing someone to unhook a canvas for a buyer. I strode over. Don't touch that. My snarl made Linda jump. The painting slipped from her fingers and hit the floor. My whole body shook. I spun around and slapped Preston across the face. It had been Dad's favorite piece. The little girl chasing butterflies in the garden, me. Look what you've done. She has no right to lay a finger on my father's work. In front of the crowd, Preston stood stunned. Linda recovered first, shrieking as she rushed to him. Ms. Vance, how dare you hit someone? She gently cupped his reddened cheek. Are you okay, Preston? Does it hurt? Preston looked up, eyes blazing. Serena, don't push your luck. I orchestrated this whole apology. What more do you want? You think I'm scared of divorce? You're a useless wife who doesn't know the first thing about supporting her husband. Who else would even want you? I'm tossing you a lifeline here. I gave a short laugh and slapped the divorce papers against his chest, then stopped talking and sign. The force of my words left him speechless. Before he could answer, Linda jumped in. Serena, you've gone too far. Preston did all this to win you back. These paintings aren't even famous. People paid top dollar for his sake, and you're ungrateful and violent. Have you no shame? In my opinion, you don't deserve him. He should leave you. He deserves better. I stared at the young woman, brimming with righteous devotion. Kids these days really know how to grandstand. Tears glittered in Preston's eyes. He seemed genuinely moved, but after a moment he looked at me and said, fine. We can divorce. But I keep Bluecore. I gave a cold laugh. Preston was no fool. He knew the company couldn't function without Bluecore's proprietary tech. Officially the firm was his. Yet as long as Bluecore belonged to me he'd have to license it for a fortune, ballooning his operating costs. That was the real reason he clung to the marriage. Too bad exploiting my father had pushed me past the point of no return. Bluecore, not his. And now the company wouldn't be either. I pulled out my phone and fired off messages to several shareholders. Once the replies came through, I turned the screen toward him. Preston smirked. Serena, who do you think you are? You snap your fingers and they'll convene a board meeting for you? The Vance era is ancient history. I run this company now. Don't waste your breath. I slid the phone back into my bag. Expressionless. We'll see who's wasting breath at the meeting. While I made a few more calls, every one of my father's pieces was carefully crated within the hour and transferred to a bank vault Preston couldn't open. When the gallery stood empty, Preston ground his teeth. I know exactly what you're scheming. You want the shareholders to side with you, but you miscalculated. Today, I'm the one who brings them profit. Your father's dead. The Vance empire is dust. This is Preston's world now. I gave a calm ho, then turned and left him and Linda fuming. I had deliberately left him room to maneuver. A board meeting is no joke. And I know precisely how far his abilities stretch. He's arrogant, convinced of his own brilliance. But in truth he's reckless and self-important. Years ago my father saw him as steady and reliable and taught him everything. Preston used the Vance family as a springboard into the elite. In reality, he's nothing but a fortune hunter. And the way to crush a fortune hunter is to take back everything you gave him. On the day of the meeting Preston brought Linda. He'd persuaded her father to invest. So Linda now officially stood behind him. I don't see why a housewife who hasn't worked in years would call a shareholders meeting, he announced. But out of respect for everyone here, I showed up. He strode straight to the head of the table, flaunting his majority stake thanks to Linda's family, and tapped the wood with mocking fingers. So, what exactly are we discussing today? I clicked across the marble floor in my heels. Your removal. Every shareholder except Preston rose the instant they saw me. I nodded, and they slowly sat back down. Preston's jaw dropped. What gives you the right? You're not even a shareholder anymore. I pulled out a chair and sat. That's not for you to decide. Preston, you underestimated the Vance family. Did you think I brought those investors on board for nothing? I'd planned to let you stay CEO and largest single shareholder if you hadn't come after me, but you just had to be despicable. And now I'm in a very bad mood. I set a folder on the table and slid it toward Preston. 40% personal shares, even counting the last-minute investors you scraped up. You're only at 43. I let my gaze drift meaningfully to Linda. Preston shot back. That's still higher than anyone else in this room. I signaled for him to open the folder. You're wrong. Apart from you, there's only one other shareholder here. Preston lowered his eyes to the document. His pupils flared wide in shock. Impossible. The remaining 57% is all mine. Preston clutched the folder and sprang from his seat. He looked at me, then at the other shareholders. Voice trembling, he demanded, all of you, handed your shares to her. Are you insane? She's a housewife. Why give everything to her? Even if you want to gang up on me, think about yourselves. Don't you need me to make you money? One shareholder impatiently dug a finger in his ear. Stop shouting. The capital we invested came from Serena in the first place. We were just holding the shares for her. She's paid us the dividends all these years. After the shameless stunt you pulled, we like you even less. Preston mumbled, half unhinged. You set me up. The Vance family, Serena's family, set me up. I rose and walked to his side. Divorce me and I'll let you keep the president's title for now. Refuse. And after the vote removes you, you can stay on as a manager. Or show some spine and sell me every last share. Then Linda and her daddy can help you start over. After that, forcing the divorce won't be my problem. Preston finally connected the dots. He seized my hand in a flash. Serena, I was wrong. I'm so wrong. Forgive me just this once. Okay, I didn't betray you. I swear I didn't. Nothing happened between Linda and me. I promise. I tried to yank my hand free, but Preston's grip was iron. With no other choice, I stamped on his foot, twice, with my stiletto. The pain bent him double and loosened his hold. My terms are clear. Think it over. Then call me. To keep him from pulling another stunt. I turned and left the instant I finished. The other shareholders followed me out. Far down the corridor I could still hear Linda and Preston screaming at each other. Once outside the building, I didn't go back to the house I shared with Preston in Beverly Hills. Too many memories there. Scenes of our early happiness. Then endless frames of me alone. Preston's excuses for staying away were endless. I truly believed he was busy for the company's sake. After all, he'd sworn to my dying father he'd give me a life even better than before. Vowed to take up my father's mission and be my guardian. But time and desire ground every promise to dust. Outside, a cold rain had begun to fall. I slept soundly in my downtown LA condo, so lightly that picturing life after divorce made me smile in my sleep. When I woke, my phone showed a string of missed calls. Before I could ring back, it buzzed again. Ms. Vance, this is Riverdale Hospital, New York. Your husband is seriously injured. Please come at once. We're getting divorced. Find someone else. I was about to hang up when the nurse added, he was hurt protecting your father's grave. By the time I reached the hospital, Preston was still unconscious. The doctor said he had a leg injury and a concussion. Hospitalization was required. I paid the bill and deposited $100,000 for follow-up costs. They explained that last night's downpour had triggered a mudslide. My father's plot lay near the hillside. For the sake of quiet and scenery, no retaining wall had been built. So the landslide posed the the greatest danger to that section. Preston had rushed over the instant he heard the slope was unstable. He arrived just as the headstone was about to be swept away. Without a second thought he threw himself in front of it. Normally the cemetery has contingency plans and compensation, but he charged in like some fool guarding a slab of stone. The speaker was Preston's best friend. He and the rescue squad had carried Preston out. He spoke earnestly. "Sis, maybe I shouldn't call you that anymore, but Preston's heart has always been you. You're the one filing for divorce. And even you, as her daughter, never thought to protect your dad's grave, yet he kept it on his mind. I hope you'll think it through. You two have weathered life and death together." I didn't answer, looking at his bruised, bandaged body. I wavered. One thing the friend said was true. Preston and I had been partners in survival. During the California earthquake, we were both in West Riverside, buried side by side for 48 hours. Through those 2 days and nights Preston kept talking to me, calming me. He painted pictures of our future, swore that once we got out he would marry me the moment we were rescued and woke in the hospital. He proposed on the spot. Back then I believed that after surviving something like that, we would be inseparable for life. Yet reality slapped me again and again. I pushed the memories aside and lifted my eyes. Just as Preston woke up. "Serena, I'll get the doctor. Serena, don't go." He struggled to sit, forcing me to stay. He licked his dry lips. "I'm sorry, Serena. It's all my fault. I broke your heart. I must have been possessed to say those vile things. I regret it so much. I don't want to lose you." Bandages circled his head. His eyes were red, brimming with tears. I sighed and sat back down. "Preston, what's the point of all this now? I just wanted to keep Dad's resting place from being disturbed. He hated noise when he was alive." Preston avoided my gaze, his voice hoarse. For a moment my heart softened. He had saved my father from the car crash. He had stayed with me through the earthquake. Now this. How tangled can a human heart become? Had he even fooled himself back then? I was silent a long while, then said quietly, "Divorce me, and you remain CEO. Serena, you think I'm putting on an act just to keep my title?" Preston caught the implication. He exploded in fury, then broke into racking coughs. I pressed my lips together and hit the call button. Doctors rushed in. I walked out. Whether Preston was sincere or not, it didn't matter to me anymore. Years together had taught me everything about him. He knew me just as well. He knew what I held sacred. So his little stunt made it impossible not to wonder what he was really after. In the end it always boiled down to the same two things: money and power. On the ride home I texted the number pinned at the top of my chat list. "Check out one guy, then put 2 tails on him. Okay. I shut the phone with a blank expression. If Preston had staged that scene, my father's grave was definitely safe. What I hadn't foreseen was that his scheme had a second layer. Because the very next day, the story of how he'd risked everything to protect his father-in-law's resting place shot to the top of the trending list. As Bluecore's CEO, Preston was no stranger to the spotlight. Young, successful, easy on the eyes, every public appearance drew eyeballs. This time the internet overflowed with praise and tears. Half a dozen gossip blogs sang his praises. The company's reputation climbed another notch. Even heavyweights from the elite circle phoned their condolences. Only then did I realize one of his goals: use public opinion to strong-arm me into staying married. My friend soon dug up the rest. Preston found some backdoor and latched onto a circle big shot. Stunt number 1. Craft a halo so even if you divorce him later, the world will blame you. Stunt number 2. Offer the big shot as a gift to sponsor his circle membership. I cracked his phone, chats and call recordings bundled and sent. I skimmed every message, listened to every clip. In the end I gave a sour laugh, ridiculing my own soft-hearted stupidity. I'd overestimated Preston. He thought that once inside the elite circle, cushioned by a patron, he could siphon the rest of my shares. I even found his filthy chat logs with Linda. For a second I nearly threw up. No betrayal, only me in his heart. Never cheated. The lies were cosmic jokes. This move of his was calculated. The path he'd picked wasn't bad. Circle backing means every tycoon shows respect. One more rung up the ladder. Pity. I'm obviously the jinx of his life. As long as I breathe, that road of his ends in a dead end. I took out the spare phone I seldom used, logged in with my own credentials. On a chat app buried under layers of encryption I typed one line. Within seconds every circle grandee's phone pinged with a directive from the chairwoman. 0. Preston is barred from the elite circle. How the hell, Leo? You promised. I paid you a fortune. Almost died out there. And now you renege. Why would the chairwoman blackball me? My stock's never been higher. The circle values loyalty, right? Leo, pull some strings, please. I can't lose this shot. I reached the doorway, arms full of lilies, just in time to hear Preston snarling into his phone. So his fixer was Leo. Unlucky for him, Leo tops my watch list right now. Too many dirty projects under his shell. The circle won't tolerate that. Wealth must be taken the right way. Dad drilled that into me long ago. With Preston's circle dream toast, my mood lifted. I pushed the door open as he hung up and cursed the room blue. Honey, you came. I arranged the lilies in the vase, then fluffed his blanket like a devoted wife. Preston stared, stunned. Baby, you forgive me? I brushed the bruise on his forehead, gentle as silk. By the time my phone buzzed okay, I yanked my hand back, pulled an alcohol wipe from my bag, and scrubbed every finger. Anyone can act. Preston gaped at the 180-degree turn. Still, he whispered, Serena, you're not mad anymore? I shook my head. Delight exploded across his face. I've relocated Dad's grave to a private mausoleum in Malibu. He always wanted to go home. Now he finally will. I'll handle it. Don't worry. I'll make it perfect. No need. From now on my father's plot, and every ancestor I have is off limits to you. Serena, have you lost your mind? The mask slipped. His true scumbag face slid into place. I risked my life to win you back and you still don't care. Ungrateful bitch. Listen up. I'm about to enter the elite circle. Patrons will line up to fund me. I'll dilute your shares and boot you from the company like a stray dog. I stood. Then I wish you every success. Preston clung to his last straw. He greased Leo with another fortune. The day after his discharge, Leo smuggled him into the elite circle's quarterly Apex conclave in Manhattan. Legend says each conclave upends the business landscape. Titans arrive armed with the planet's hottest projects. Every member leaves richer than he came. Preston saw moguls he could never reach in a lifetime. Power and wealth so vast they seemed mythical. Heat surged in his veins until he spotted me among them. How did you sneak in here? He stalked over, growling under his breath. More legitimately than you. I glanced at the folder in his hand. Pitch deck. Best of luck. He started to retort, but the session began and his focus snapped to his presentation. Leo had lent his own name so Preston could pitch. Preston brimmed with confidence. After his passionate spiel, the panel huddled to discuss. He slid into the seat beside me in the back row. Serena, I'm going to win, and you'll crawl back begging me not to divorce you. I gave a soft snort. Then, under his disbelieving stare, I walked to the front row, picked up his project binder, and shredded it in front of the entire room. This proposal, pass. Preston barreled forward. Who the hell are you? You don't get a vote. Serena, this is the elite circle. Everyone in this room is somebody. Don't make a scene. He yanked my arm, frantic to drag me out, before his fingers could close around my wrist. A dark-complexioned power broker shoved him aside. Preston knew the man. Deputy chairman of the elite circle, second only to the mysterious top seat, and the only living soul who had ever seen Chairman Zero in person. The man slipped off his sunglasses and studied me, delight sparkling in his eyes. I gave him a sweet smile. Victor, long time no see. Victor swept me up in a bear hug, almost spinning me in midair. What brings you here? You always said you'd never set foot in this building. Little girl, it's been ages. Preston stood frozen while Victor laced my fingers through his and led me to the center of the hall. Everyone keeps begging me to introduce Zero, Victor announced. Well, here she is, meet Zero. Gasps rippled through the room, a tide of disbelief and awe. My expression never wavered as I lifted the antique pocket watch that symbolized Zero. Every power broker in the chamber rose to his feet in deference, inclining heads respectfully. Everyone except Preston and Leo. Preston jabbed a finger at me, voice cracking. Impossible. This is a trick. I've been married to you for years. How could I not know you're Zero? You're lying. And these people are actors you hired. He was unraveling, step by stumbling step. I fastened the watch around my neck like a talisman. Victor stood at respectful attention behind me. I looked down at Preston as though he were an ant. Preston, you brag that my father built the Vance fortune with his own grit. Did you ever ask where his seed money came from? It was my mother, my grandfather, who staked him. The Vance line was never an old money dynasty. It could have crumbled when my father died. But my mother was born into a family whose power and pedigree stretch back 14 generations. Deep roots, honored by everyone in the state, and, inconveniently for the vultures, my grandfather had only one child, my mother. She, in turn, had only one child, me. Every ounce of authority and wealth her clan accumulated now rests in my hands. The elite circle was my grandfather's creation. My mother inherited the chair, and now I hold it. These titans of finance don't care whether the hand guiding them is male or female, young or old, as long as I keep multiplying their fortunes. I am Zero in fact as well as name. Preston stared, then laughed, a shrill, broken sound. My project will make you richer. Anyone with a brain can see it. Are you all going to throw that away just because she's your precious Zero? I signaled Victor. He plugged a flash drive into the wall screen. Preston, your project only enriches you. The files contained every structural flaw flaw in his blueprint. Every cooked book. Leo, who had boasted the venture was already profitable, had simply pocketed Preston's generous bribe to forge the numbers. The two had planned to collect one round of investment and vanish. They underestimated the elite circle, and they underestimated me. Serena, you exist purely to ruin me, don't you? Watching me fail gives you a thrill. Why destroy me? I saved your father's life. Have you forgotten everything we survived together? I offered no reply, only a small wave to the security team. Guards escorted both men out. Serena, your whole family are ungrateful dogs. You'll pay for this. Investigators can deal with their crimes. As for every question Preston hurled at me, I had already answered it for myself. He did my family a favor once, but a favor is not a lifetime license to wound. Every sentence he hurled to hurt me, every scheme he spun, remains stamped on my memory, and none of it can be erased by past kindness. Preston's bid to join the elite circle collapsed. The blockbuster contract I had negotiated for him was shredded. He had also siphoned company funds to finance Leo's shell game. Lucor was bleeding cash, teetering on bankruptcy. He tried to spin our looming divorce into a media circus, feeding sob stories to every gossip blog. So I released the trove of proof, hours of hotel keycard logs from Beverly Hills and Manhattan, surveillance stills, intimate texts between him and Linda. And Linda was only the latest. The rotating cast of starry-eyed assistants who had passed through his office suddenly found their tawdry midnight exchanges trending online. The devoted husband facade shattered. Clips surfaced of Preston plotting to stage a vigil at my father's grave, anything to milk public pity. Overnight the narrative flipped. Preston was branded a rat fleeing a sinking yacht. Every comment section bayed for blood. He had lost everything, irrevocably. Still he refused to grant me a divorce. Fortunately I had evidence by the cartload. I never even stepped into court. My attorney reduced him to silence before the judge. When the decree arrived, I photocopied the certificate and burned the copy on my father's grave. Both Dad and I had misjudged the man. Pulling the plug now would have made my father proud. Word reached me later that Preston had taken construction site work in Las Vegas to pay the bills. He still holds court at lunchtime, promising anyone who'll listen that his comeback is imminent. As for Linda, she ghosted the day the bankruptcy petition hit the docket. On site, the crew mocks him roundly. Each boast is met with such merciless teasing that his face flames crimson. One afternoon he snaps, swinging fists at the men who ridicule him. One worker is left in critical condition. Another dies in the ambulance. Police haul Preston away. His life free falls into the mire. After his conviction I visit once. Behind the glass he looks 60, gaunt and gray. I expect rage, a tantrum, but his voice is eerily calm. Serena, why drive the blade into the hilt? My affairs never truly mattered to you. I stare into the eyes that once charmed my younger self. Preston, when you saved my father you already knew exactly who he was, didn't you? His dull gaze slides away. I keep speaking. I never doubted you, yet the moment I looked, every lie crumbled. The earthquake rescue, the proposal amid the wreckage, you ditched the girl who'd slaved beside you for years, the one who'd already miscarried your child, all for status and money. When our divorce began trending, she came to me. She asked that I make you pay what you owe. Thanks for listening to tonight's story. If you enjoyed it, hit like and share with friends. We'd love to hear your take in the comments. Subscribe so you don't miss the next tale. See you next time.